Hi, this is Dr. Tom. So you want to learn how to go on a cruise. What is it like to be on a cruise ship? What can you expect? I'll cover some things so you can not be so apprehensive. Be at ease when you get on your first cruise ship. I'm here on the deck of a cruise ship of a popular cruise line. You can see the pool, one of the major pools behind me. When you get ready to go on your cruise, one of the things you need to have lined up is your passport. Make sure you have a current passport with at least 6 months remaining on it. Check where you're planning on going, what your itinerary is for the cruise. If you're going on a Caribbean cruise or a Mexican cruise, there are no visas required. I'm on a segment of a world cruise. We're in South Asia, approaching India. To go to India and some other countries such as China, Argentina, Brazil, you need a visa ahead of time. You need to mail your passport off with the appropriate forms to the embassy or consulate for these countries. Once you get all your paperwork in line, and it can take up to a month to get your visa, so prepare these well in advance. When you first arrive at the cruise terminal, you'll be met by porters outside the building, and they'll put tags on your baggage with your room number on it, and they'll get your bags to your room for you. The lines to get onto the ship can be long. A large ship such as this with almost 4,000 passengers, it can take you up to 3 hours to get through the boarding process. So be patient, things will go well. Once you're inside the terminal, they'll check your boarding pass, or your tickets, or your internet confirmation to get onto the ship. Then you'll be led to the ship where the free lunch buffet will be awaiting you. Your stateroom probably won't be ready, so just enjoy some time on deck. As a guest on a cruise ship, you'll come across some terms you may or may not have heard before. The ship tends to use nautical terms: fore, aft, port, starboard, bow, stern, midship, any number of terms. It's best to get familiar with these terms and what they mean. The bow, the pointy end of the ship, is the front. When the crew or the ship signs refer to fore, F-O-R-E, they're talking towards the bow. The bow is the absolute front of the ship. The bow means anything towards the front of the ship. Same thing with stern. The stern is the very back end of the ship. And when they use the term aft, they mean the things towards the aft, towards the back of the ship. Midship is just like it sounds. It's what's in the middle of the ship. Some ships like to use the term centrum, which means exactly what it sounds like, the center of the ship. Starboard is the right-hand side of the ship. Port is the left-hand side of the ship. Another term that you'll hear aboard the ship is ship's time. If you're on a cruise from, say, Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera, or from Miami to the Caribbean, ship's time is going to be local time of where you left. And odds are it's not going to change. It may change once on your cruise. As example, you leave Miami and you end up in Mexico. You're going from Eastern Time to Central Time. There will be an announcement on board the ship when to set your clocks and to what time to set them to. The ship's time may or may not be the actual local time, so be aware of that. Your time to leave the ship, the time to get back on board the ship from the port is ship's time, no matter what time it really is in the port. It's usually the same time, but not necessarily so. Some ships, when they cross a time zone, will change the clocks at midnight. Others have found it more convenient for the passengers to change the time at noon. Whatever the case, you will be on board when the time zone changes. You will not be in a port and they change the ship's time while you're gone, so you do not have to worry about that. Some exotic cruises, such as this one I'm on today, Middle East and South Asia, we're crossing 5 time zones. So about every other day, we have to adjust our clocks. There's an announcement from the captain. He will tell you we are changing the ship's time, and he'll tell you what the new ship's time is. So everyone can be prompt, show up to the events they want to, show up to the meals they want to, and be everywhere on time. So I bet you're wondering, what is your stateroom going to look like?
I'm in the typical, what they call an inside stateroom, where you do not have a window to the sea, and it's the smallest and least expensive of the staterooms. This one is 150 square feet, which is pretty typical. They're 150 to 160 square feet. This room is made up into 2 twin beds, but with a nice chat with your room steward, it can be converted into 1 king-size bed. Or if the room you have is 1 king-size bed and you want it twins, the steward will convert it for you. You will have the 2 beds, a small desk, a small closet, a few drawers for keeping your belongings and your clothing in, a TV hooked up to the ship's TV system, which usually has satellite TV for various programming, entertainment, movies, cartoons, and news shows, and 3 or 4 ship-wide channels. There'll be a cruise director channel where he'll tell you first thing in the morning everything that's going on in the ship that day, and off and on during the day, different general interest topics the cruise director will be talking to you. You'll have a private bathroom with a shower, but it is small and tight. If you want to spend more money, you can get an outside stateroom of the same size with a large window, or go for a balcony stateroom. And they can be very large, up to 1,000 square feet if you want to spend that kind of money. You're looking at perhaps a longer cruise, 10 to 14 days, and you're thinking to yourself, there's no way I can pack that much into my suitcases. That'll be unwieldy and give me 2 very heavy suitcases. All cruise ships have a laundry facility on board, and you can get the laundry bag out of your closet and mark what's in it, and they will give you the prices for each individual item. Some cruise ships will say, okay, why take dirty clothes back home with you? For $40, we'll wash everything that you can put inside a bag. Some cruise ships have a laundry room on board where you can do your own laundry, a wash machine and a dryer. The problem is it's typically 1 wash machine and 1 dryer per deck, so many passengers will want to be using it, so you may not be able to count on using the self-serve laundry.
When you're on a cruise, you're on vacation. You worked hard to earn the money to come on vacation, and now it's time to relax. Be at peace. But remember, there are some rules regarding attire on a cruise ship. If you want to go to one of the several pools or jacuzzis on board, enjoy it. Make sure you're wearing some kind of footwear and a cover-up on your way to and from the pools. Make sure you dry off before you leave the pool and come back. And of course, take a brief shower before you get into the pool. Removes the dust and other oils, such as suntan lotion you may have on you, and keep from getting the pool dirty. When you're on the ship, remember to wear some kind of footwear all the time, unless you're in a pool area and getting in and out of a water facility. Wear proper clothing, shoes, a top, shorts or long pants or a skirt. Any of this is fine. You'll want to avoid cut-off shorts, as cruise ships are considered upscale, more like a country club than just going to the beach. So avoid cut-offs, shirts and pants with holes in them. You want to look nice. You expect the other passengers to look nice, so be courteous. One of the other complimentary meal options is the main dining room, which can go by many specialty names. They will have different types of attire requirements. Generally, it's casual, which for men is dress slacks, shoes, and a button-down shirt, such as a sports shirt or a polo shirt, and corresponding for the women. Slacks, a dress, a nice top. So when they say casual, they don't mean casual like at the beach, but casual at a country club. Sometimes they will have what they call smart casual. A necktie could be required on smart casual night. No bare shoulders on the ladies on smart casual night. The ship will tell you what the dress requirements are, so there won't be any surprises, and they'll tell you what you're booking. Here's the general rules for the ship and what we mean by casual, smart casual. There's also 2 to 4 formal nights aboard the ship. Formal nights, men will wear a tux or a dark business suit, complete coat and tie, matching slacks and shoes. Women, a formal gown. So if you choose to engage in a formal night activities, make sure you bring a tux or a dark business suit or an evening gown for the ladies, so you can fit in with the crowd and have the most fun. Sanitation on board ship is very important. Everyone's seen the news where a cruise ship comes into port where there's 2,000 sick passengers on board. The cruise lines are doing their best to avoid any more of these incidences. There will be hand sanitizer stations all around the ship. Squirt a little on your hand, rub them in good, and that will help. Before you go into any dining facility, there will be 3 or 4 hand sanitizer dispensers. Staff will also be there to make sure everyone sanitizes their hands before they go in to eat. This cruise I'm on right now is an 11-day cruise with 5 days at sea. And you're wondering, what am I going to do at sea for 5 days? A number of things. As I've mentioned before, there are several pools, jacuzzis on the ship, lots of deck chairs. You just want to lay out in the sun, relax, read a book, hang out in the pool. Of course, these activities are available. But you can only do so much of that laying out in the sun. If you have an interest, chances are you can do it on board the ship. There's different types of card games, such as hearts tournaments, bridge, poker. If you don't know how to play any card games, there's classes in how to play these different card games. You have an interest like needlepoint, knitting, sewing, stamp collecting. All these kind of activities can be going on the ship. If you're on the ship and have an interest, but you do not see it listed as an activity, talk to the cruise director or at the guest services desk. And if the ship decides that is of interest to other passengers, they'll schedule a time and a place for you to give a class, an hour or 2. On a recent cruise, we had a gentleman play the ukulele, and he ended up teaching ukulele classes to passengers. So anything's possible. There's a number of lounges on board the ship. One of the popular activities in the lounges are trivia games, quiz games. You name the topic, they'll have a trivia game about that topic. Could be music, could be general interest, could be famous people, most anything. Low-key contests, some are individual, some are teams. And you get a nominal prize, perhaps a keychain for being the best that day. Karaoke, of course. Most ships have a karaoke activity. Come and enjoy it. Share your vocal skills with the rest of the passengers. Here we are in the main theater in this cruise ship. All cruise ships have a large theater. This particular one holds 1,000 passengers at a time. There are at least 600 seat theaters on all cruise ships, so 600 to 1,000 persons. Many activities take place here in the main theater. There's a song and dance troupe on every cruise ship that perform 2 to 3 or even 4 times on a cruise, depending on how long your cruise is. Also, there are different special interest acts, magicians, comedians, singers, or talks, such as enrichment speakers, will all hold their activities inside this large theater. So check the daily schedule that you'll be given and see what activities are going on in the main theater. Most of these programs in here are at night, but there are some that happen during the day as well. Here we are in the center of the ship. Some ships call this the promenade, some call it the grand foyer, some call it the atrium. It's a multi-deck area of the ship with shops, lounges, bars, and various activities to come relax. The shops go all the way from t-shirt shops, t-shirts and hats, to jewelry, duty-free liquor store, upscale jewelry, and different theme bars. So you can come, sit down and relax, have your favorite beverage, or there's activities such as a special musician, a piano player, guitar player. They'll come play during the evenings for entertainment. One activity that's common to every ship is a casino. Slot machines, table games such as poker, and craps are all involved on the cruise ships. You can come in here, try your luck. There'll be specialties, sometimes 2-for-1 chips, or the cruise director will have a challenge to give you special odds on winning a game. One of the rules with the casinos is they cannot be open while a ship is in port. So when you get on board, you'll have to wait until the ship is out to sea before you can enjoy the casinos. Perhaps your interests are a little more passive. You want to relax on the cruise instead of being so active. Every ship has a library. This ship in particular has a card room also, as most ships do. You can come in, check out a book, relax and read, check out a deck of cards, check out a board game. Just relax and get away from it all. Okay. Do you like to stay connected while you're on board ship? All ships have a computer lab where you can come in and use the ship's computer to access the internet. You can read your email, check on the news, anything you would normally do on the internet, you can do in the ship's computer lab. If you have your own laptop with you that's wireless capable, you can get a wireless package and access the internet from your room. So you can privately surf the internet and relax on your bed with your feet up while you're doing your web surfing. Perhaps you're thinking of bringing your children or grandchildren on the cruise with you, and you're concerned, is there anything for the children? Yes, several activities for children. Every ship has a video arcade where the youngsters can come and play video games, come and go at their leisure. There's also clubs. They have for the younger children starting at 3 years old. There's also clubs for the older children, the 8-year-old through junior high, and a teenagers club. They can come and go from these activities at will, so you can join in with them, or they can join you with your activities, so everyone stays occupied and happy. There's also sports courts for the active teenagers, a basketball court that can quickly convert to soccer. Some ships, such as this one, has a miniature golf course. There are several pools on board. Some are open for all ages, and some are designated just for adults. So the more active passengers can enjoy the main pools, while the more quiet and serene pool is reserved for the adults that just want to relax and be away from the hustle and bustle. Sometimes you're on a cruise ship, you may have an issue with your cabin or a concern or a general question. You can come to the customer services or purser's desk. They're there many hours during the day, up to 18 hours during the day, to answer your questions and take care of your problems. Some of the services is when you're coming into a foreign country, they'll be able to convert your currency into the local currency, so you don't have to worry about that when you're on shore. When you're on a ship, you have a SeaPass card. It's similar to a hotel room card. This particular one looks like this. It gets you into the door in your stateroom, and you can also use it when you want to buy things on board that are not included in your package, such as premium beverages. If there's a problem with your SeaPass card, they can take care of that at the customer service or the purser's desk. Also, there's a shore excursion desk. When you get into a port and you don't know what to do, they have various shore excursions depending on your interests. You're on the Mexican Riviera, the Caribbean, a shore excursion could be to an exclusive beach. It could be to historical sites on the island, or shopping in the town or village, wherever your ship is in port. You can go to the shore excursion desk most any time during the day and ask questions, and they'll be happy to tell you what excursions are available for the port you're going to and point which ones may match your interests and arrange for you to attend one of these shore excursions. Shore excursions certainly have pros and cons. They do cost a little bit of money. What you get out of a paid shore excursion is security. You know that the ship is going to make sure you get off first, get on your bus, and off to where you're going. Also, if there's a delay in getting back to the ship on your paid excursion, the ship will wait for you. Formal shore excursion takes care of all the logistics for you. How do I get there? Where do we go? What time? All these things are taken care of you. You just sit back on the bus, the motor coach, and relax and enjoy the scenery on your way to wherever you're going. and you'll have a very knowledgeable local tour guide that's able to explain things to you, answer your questions. If you're going on a shopping tour, they'll take you to a mall that usually has reasonable prices, and your tour guide will be there to help you. Do you bargain in the shop, or is it set prices? What's the best type of things to buy at this stop? Or if you're going to stop for a meal, where's a good safe restaurant to stop and eat? What kind of foods are good? All this will be taken care of you if you're on a paid shore excursion. If you do choose to go on your own, that is fine too. Depending on where you go, the ship may stop right in the edge of town. You can walk off the ship, and in 5 minutes, you're in downtown of wherever you're going. A Caribbean island, be a small capital city. Or, as an example, in Athens, the ship lets you off right in downtown. So you're right there amongst the action. Sometimes, because of logistics, the ships are in a cargo port, a commercial port. It can take up to a half hour on a taxi to get out of the port. Sometimes the ship is able to provide a shuttle bus. So for a nominal fee, the shuttle bus will take you from the ship to where the action is in town, and then you're on your own. If you choose to be on your own at a port of call, sure, you can save money. You may miss out on things, or you may find even more things in a shore excursion. You can walk around, you can hire a taxi or whatever the local transportation is to either get from point A to point B, or to give you, hire the driver for a day to give you a tour of where you are. One thing to remember when you're on your own, if the all aboard time is 5 o'clock and you show up at 5:15, the gangway will be closed and you will not be permitted to board the ship. It will be on you to catch up with the ship at its next port of call, which could end up being very expensive on your part. So make sure you're prompt. Be back to the ship a few minutes, a half hour before the last call to ensure you're not left on the deck. We had one instance on my last cruise where I was watching, and there were a number of passengers on the rail looking overwards, looking very concerned. And I looked over and there was a woman running down the dock, waving at the ship, saying, "Stop, stop." She obviously missed the ship, had to get to our next port of call, which was in another country. Lots of logistical nightmares and can be very expensive. So make sure you're prompt at getting back on board the ship. The ships will have theme party nights. 70s disco night, 60s night, whatever. These will be formally led parties in the center of the ship, which has some kind of large promenade or an atrium where many guests will gather. There'll be lots of music, lots of good time. Your cruise is about over. Perhaps you've had a 3 to 5 day cruise out of Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera, a 7-day Caribbean cruise, a 30-day cruise in the Med, or the famous 130-day round the world cruise. In any case, it's the day before you get off the ship. Now what do? How do you get off the ship? Most ships, they will put a luggage tag in your stateroom for each piece of luggage you have. They'll ask you to put your luggage in the hallway by 11 o'clock at night and just have a change of clothes with your carry-on for the next morning. The crew will collect all the luggage on the ship, and when the ship gets into port, take your luggage into the terminal for you. That way you don't have to worry about moving 2 or 3 suitcases apiece when you're trying to get off of the ship. Occasionally a ship may be short-handed on crew and will ask if it's okay if you remove your own luggage on the next morning, which is also fine. On your TV, you will have an option to look at your ship account. When you first get on board the ship, they will give you a SeaPass, which just looks like a credit card or a motel card key. This is also tied to a credit card that you gave them when you got on board the ship. And all your charges on the ship will be on there, such as drinks that you bought aboard the ship, souvenirs you bought, or shore excursions that you paid for once you were on the ship. Make sure your account is correct. You have the option to go into guest services and paying in cash, or just let the charges stay on your credit card and pay them at your leisure.
One of the topics that you'll hear battered about when you talk to your friends about going on a cruise is gratuities. Remember, many of the people on the ship do not get paid very well. The room stewards, the stewards in the dining facilities, the pool attendants, they all get well below what we consider minimum wage. To make up for this, the ship will strongly encourage you to give gratuities. Many of them will go so far as to automatically add gratuities to your account. $12, $13, perhaps as much as $15 a day. And the ship will explain how this is divided up amongst your room steward, your dining stewards, and the other attendants around on the ship. So keep this in mind. If your room steward does an excellent job for you and you are very happy, you are welcome to leave an additional tip or adjust the amount in general that they deduct from your account every day.
Once you're settled there, everything is good. You will collect your passport, which you needed to get on the ship in the first place. And this may be the first time you've seen your passport in the whole cruise. But you will need it to get off the ship in order to clear immigration once back in the United States. You will be given a time, sometimes based on your stateroom, or if you're flying out, your flight time. All these things are taken into consideration when the ship decides your time to disembark. There will be announcements. It'll be in the daily bulletin on the ship, and there will be signs on the ship. Once you get off the ship and into the terminal, customs will come by. They usually have the drug sniffing dogs to sniff all the luggage, make sure everything's clean. Immigration to check your passport, make sure you belong back in the United States, and then you can leave the terminal. You may have prearranged transportation back to the airport, or if you parked at the terminal, the ride to your car. All these things you would normally have arranged in advance, but not necessarily. You may need to still arrange for a taxi to get to the airport or wherever your final destination is in the port city.